got to see some family, and I hope that you were excited about a new fall season coming up. I want to talk today about all those funny things in my title: hospitality, hostas, hyperactive kids, and holy chaos. And I'll try to make sense of those things at some point in the sermon. And mostly what the sermon is about is how excited I am to see the amount of work that you as a congregation have funded and have carried out throughout this summer, as well as in recent years. To see that kitchen downstairs brought up to new standards so that we can serve more people and have more hospitality and more joy, and to see the gardens outside taking shape, and to see all of our Sunday school rooms looking so bright and wonderful. Jobs that have been really expensive and really hard and really challenging, and you've done them. You've done them all. And I hate to ever use the word proud in a church. It's not proud like that, but I'm proud of you. And I'm impressed by you. And I see God's Holy Spirit moving through you in such powerful and beautiful ways that it makes my soul sing for the future of St. Andrew's. And because of that, the story from the Old Testament, that Haggai story today, well, it doesn't apply to you. You're exempt of all the condemnation of Haggai and of Zechariah. When they said to the people, God's temple is in ruins and you aren't doing anything about it, well, I can't say that. Way to go! And just so you know, see, I think when I left, we were with the kids, and we were building the tabernacle out of the big Lego blocks, and we built the Holy of Holies, and I'm going to bring back the Ark of the Covenant this morning. I have one more thing to do. The tabernacle was a tent, and the tent was where God lived in the desert for maybe 300 years. And if the people wanted to experience the presence of God, they would come to the tent of God, and then the priest would go into the Holy of Holies and tell the people what God had to say to them. So 300 years, that was the temple. And then maybe around 968 BC, there was peace and unity in Judah and Israel. So Solomon built a new temple. The instructions were given to Nathan the prophet. Nathan gave them to Solomon's father David. David gave them to Solomon. And Solomon built the temple. And it was beautiful. And it was covered in gold. And it contained all the wealth of the whole nation. And the people came to it to experience God's presence. But around 586 BC, Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came and raided Jerusalem and destroyed the temple and took away all the wealth that was in it and took the people into exile in Babylon. And they were there for maybe 70 years. In around 538, Cyrus, the king of Persia, attacked Babylon and conquered it, and said to the people of Israel, you can go home. You are free. And they all went back to Israel and Judah, and the people went back to Jerusalem, and they started to build their own homes, but after they had been there for 6 years, they had not rebuilt the temple. The temple was a ruin, falling apart right in the middle of the city. And God spoke to Haggai and said, Haggai, the people cannot prosper if they do not build the temple. And so Haggai went to the people and he said to them around 520 BC, how can you be building your own homes and your own lives when the temple lies in ruins? And he gave to the people the reasons they should rebuild the temple. usual reasons. We don't have any money. We can't afford it. And the other thing they said was, you know, Haggai, religion is a thing of the past. People don't want to be religious and people don't want to go to church anymore, so why should we bother investing in the temple? That was 520 years BC. Haggai said to them, listen, if you do not give, and if you do not build the temple, you can never have fulfillment or peace in your own lives. You will go out and plant crops, but you will take a very small harvest. You'll have a little bit of food to eat, but not enough to end your hunger. And this is a weird one. He said, you'll have wine to drink, but not enough wine to get drunk. I'm not sure how that fits in the whole thing, but you'll have clothes to wear, but you will still be cold. Your working people will have full-time jobs, but it will not be enough to live on. Now you've got to be really careful with an Old Testament passage like that, because it sounds like what God is saying is, if you don't worship me, I will punish you. And there are people who would like to transpose a passage like that into the modern day and say, well, if there's a flood or if there's a drought, it's God punishing you or your nation because you weren't Christian enough or you did some sinful thing. There's still people saying that. And we have to reject that outrightly and realize that there are certain parts of the Old Testament that are purely cultic and superstitious. And we do not take that after we've seen the compassion and the love of Christ. The truth that's in those words is this. If you do not live a life in which you are showing compassion and mercy, if you do not live your life in a way that shows that all people are equal, and all people are valuable in the sight of God, if you don't live with compassion and care, you will never be satisfied. No matter how much you eat, you will always be hungry. No matter how much money you have, you will always be poor. No matter what you do, there is no wholeness, no healing, no joy, no peace, unless you care and show love. And it is in caring and showing love that we acknowledge the presence of God in our lives. The people listened. They rebuilt the temple. It took them 7 years. It took them all they had. They rebuilt it. And that temple would stand for 600 years until it was destroyed by Rome in 70 AD. That was the second temple. Just out of interest, today there is no temple for the Jewish people. Worship has been dispersed into synagogues. There's no temple. One day there will be a third temple, and it will be built according to the plans that God gave to Ezekiel. And that's another story. So, my excitement is this. You have built the temple. You at St. Andrew's have never hesitated to say, we will make sure the temple is beautiful and well cared for and in perfect condition. It's always easy to say, there's no money. It always looks like there's no money. That's the natural, perpetual human state, and certainly the state within the church. There's never any money. There's always a good excuse not to do something. We don't have any money. But God says, do the things we need to do to honor me and to honor my house. Don't you worry about the future. And so I am excited. You, the people of St. Andrew's, have cared for God's house because because it is God's house and it deserves the highest respect and regard. You have built God's house because we need a physical center in which to build our worship and our mission. In a perfect world, I know, we won't need a building. We won't need a physical church structure. And when that day comes, it will be wonderful. But for the time being, we need a building. We need a physical, visible place to come and do our work, our mission, our ministry. We need a place that's a base from which we go out and we take all the goodness and all the mercy and all the grace and all the things we learn about equality and compassion and dignity. We take them out from this place into the whole world around us. We have built this place because we need a place within which to welcome new people, a place to show hospitality, a place to teach our children that they can go out as well. So I celebrate all that has been done here. The beautiful physical renovations to the kitchen and the gardens and the Sunday school. I celebrate all that we do through Camp K. It is an absolutely glorious place where the church meets the world and where we show hospitality and grace and where we uphold those values of the dignity and the worth of every human being, regardless of who they are. That is beautiful. And it's a big task. And these people have worked hard on it, and all of you have supported it, and it is glorious. As a result of all the things we have done, what happens at St. Andrew's often looks like chaos. Certainly through this summer, with renovations in every corner, and children jumping and laughing and playing, it looks like chaos. But it is holy chaos. And within it lives and dwells God's Holy Spirit. And within it is the power of Christ. And within it is the assurance that St. Andrew's has a glorious future. A future built around God's love revealed in Jesus, who was crucified on Calvary to say, I love all of you this much, and was raised again to life eternal to say to us, in spite of sickness and suffering and death, life is glorious and marvelous. Celebrate it, be thankful for it, and share your spirit with the whole world. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Sort of thinking, really, Dave, is it really a song about the Pickling Bee?
It really is, Mark, and it's sung with apologies to John Denver because it bears a slight resemblance to Grandma's feather bed.
This could be the first ever Pickling Bee song.
And as you know, Mark, Pickling Bee is this Thursday, as you mentioned, September 3rd, and we do have a few volunteers, but we're always looking for additional people to help out, and it starts at 9 o'clock. What do you suppose is the main product of the Pickling Bee, Mark?
I don't know.
Well, I was led to believe that you were under the mistaken impression that the main product was pickles. But it's actually pickled beets, a rare delicacy and in high demand. So we need to prepare now, so this is ready in time for the Bazaar, which is less than 3 months away. The Heather and Holy Bazaar on November 28th is coming so quickly. So now the congregation has a little singing part too in this, and the Camp K people, I know they'd be very good at helping out here. It goes like this. Do 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 do. Whenever I sing that or sing with you, that's what you have to sing. So counselors and others, can you try it with me? 2, 3, 4. Do 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 do. Good. And I'll have to slow it down just a little bit because I've got too many words in this to fit in at that tempo. But here we go. Do 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 do. I was a little bitty boy, not much older than 3. My grandma told me about the legend of the annual Pickling Bee. The volunteers all got here, they drove round the LRT. They got a lot done and they had a lot of fun at the annual Pickling Bee. There were mason jars from near and far and bushels of beets. There was dill and spice, enough to suffice as required by the recipe. There were best laid plans and purple hands and many shouts of glee when they worked together for the common better at the annual Pickling Bee. Here we go. So many years have come and gone, but some things never change. This Thursday is September 3rd, and guess what we've arranged? The kitchen's renovated, and it can't be overstated how wonderful it would be when 9 o'clock comes and we have some fun at the annual Pickling Bee. There'll be mason jars from near and far and bushels of beets. There'll be dill and spice, enough to suffice as required by the recipe. There'll be best laid plans and purple hands and many shouts of glee when we work together for the common better at the annual Pickling Bee. Here we go. 28th of November, think of holly and heather, the bazaar will have come to be. Our honest reaction will be the satisfaction that we had that Pickling Bee. The folks will come from miles around, they'll dodge the LRT. They'll load up their cars with full mason jars from the good old Pickling Bee all together now. There'll be mason jars from near and far and bushels of beets. There'll be dill and spice, enough to suffice as required by the recipe. There'll be best laid plans and purple hands and many shouts of glee when we work together for the common better at the good old Pickling Bee. When we work together for the common better at the good old Pickling Bee.
And I should introduce Sydney and Kaylee and Josh. Welcome to you. Kaylee this year is the overall camp director. Sydney is the director of the critters. Is that right? And Joshua is the director of the Explorer. Yes. There we go. Welcome.
We made a thing. As we do at camp. I think I'll talk a little about it real quick first. At camp, we have names that are not the ones that our parents bestowed upon us. So although we may have just been introduced, you may know us as Joshua Gillies and Kaylee Haggai and Spidell, we are in fact in our souls Major, Haggai, and Dory. And to us at Camp K, the camp name represents being the best sort of person that you possibly could be. We are the type of people that when we use these names, when we refer to each other as them, when the kids know us as that, and the parents know us as that, we are the type of people who can recreate the entire animated film Frozen in 5 minutes. We are the people who will bear any punishment, such as having pie filling rubbed in our hair, or doing dizzy bats until we fall over, all because, who knows, we may have dropped something, or one of our keepers may have cheated, or maybe we actually did something bad, but come on now, we don't. Or we are the people that will give up our lunch break to spend 20 minutes comforting a child who is crying so hard until you put a Band-Aid over a wound that didn't even break the skin. That is who we are when we use these names, and we've had 20 summers staff in the first year of these names, of being those people. And we at Camp K this year wanted to say a very, very big thank you to the congregation for all of your support over these many, many years, but also to our alumni, all our staff who have adopted these names, have become these amazing, amazing counselors, and for all the silliness and goofiness that they endured, and all the hard times and all the bright times. And so we made something that we thought could not only represent the last 20 years, but also be built upon for years to come with all the names of our future staff. And it's supposed to be one big piece. It gave me a little bit of trouble yesterday and this morning, and refused to be one big piece. And therefore, we shall be the fasteners between each and show you what we have created. Camp K isn't just a camp, it's a way of life. It sticks with you. I'm pretty sure it's in my blood. It has a way of attracting the most amazing people, and these people are then with you for life. They become family. There's one special person in particular I'd like to tell you about this morning. If anyone was born to be at Camp K, it was Lee Calder. He started as a camper, and thank goodness I wasn't a counselor at the time because the most difficult campers always ended up in my group. But I always would hear, you should have seen Lee as a camper. Lee's camp name is Apollo, and he got it because at the time he punched Curly, I think it was in the face. Well, thankfully the most difficult campers usually end up being the best counselors. Apollo proved this every day he showed up at camp. Whether telling scary stories around the campfire at the man in the woods with a hatchet, he would show off his scar from the surgery and tell the kids it's from surviving the fight him. The kids absolutely loved him, and so did the rest of the staff. He was always helping me with those difficult campers, and really had a way of ever for them. There's a tree at the critter shelter with the initials LCCJ or CG, good gracious, carved on it. Long story short, Lee backed my car into it, and the door